The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello there, it's Charlotte from UKOUG. Thank you for all those who've been able to join. I am going to give it a few more moments because I know we've got a few more that are set to join as well. I just wanted to sort of speak to make sure that you could hear me and to make sure that there are no audio problems. If you do have any issues on the line, please do use, you'll see there's a question box. Please do use that if you have got any issues, as I'll be able to respond on there. But as I said, we'll probably start in the next sort of 3 or 4 minutes. Right, I think we're going to get started, as I know we're approaching into 12:05. I said, thank you ever so much for joining today, and welcome to the webinar, which is Swingbench for Oracle Research, hosted by Martin Bach. Thank you for taking the time to attend. I hope you'll find this time useful. My name's Charlotte, and I work with the UKOUG to deliver webinars such as this one. Today we are extremely grateful to welcome Martin, our host, and 3 times published author. Should you wish to get in contact with Martin, I have popped his email address on the slide that you'll be able to see now, so I'm sure he'll be able to answer any questions. Sort of a little bit, before we get started, I just wanted to share a little bit about us, the UKOUG, and what we do to support you all and our community. So we deliver content through webinars, meetups, events and conferences related to all Oracle applications and technologies. So whether it's a problem with a latest update, or to make better informed decisions when deciding your journey, we as a community can help. Being independent from Oracle means we deliver unbiased content and provide honest solutions to your problems. We throw around about 50 events a year, and we have about sort of 750 resources in our library for you to look at your leisure. This recording will also go up there. And also whether you want to meet like-minded individuals, hear from the experts, or put forward content to help others, we are a user group here for you. Just because obviously this kind of all ties in with the session you're about to hear, we have just launched our agenda for TechFest 19, which is our technology conference being hosted in Brighton this year from the 1st to the 4th of December. So that is 4 days of content that encompasses analytics and data science, Apex, database development, and systems and infrastructure. So if you do get a moment, please do go and have a look at the agenda on there. You'll be able to see the website is there, is ukoug.org/page/TechFest19. But there's a lot of content there that I'm sure will be of interest to you. So moving on, just before I hand over to Martin, just some basic sort of housekeeping. As I said when I was kicked off, if you do have questions or any queries regarding audio, not able to hear, please do just pop me a question and I'll be able to answer you and hopefully try and rectify your issue. The other thing is, as Martin is talking, if you do have any questions for him, please also do use that question box, and I will read these out at the end of the session, and hopefully Martin will be able to answer those for you. As I said, there is a link to, if you've got any questions sort of regarding any of the events or anything from that side of things, please do either go onto our website, which is www.ukoug.org, or do email pm@ukoug.org. And as I said, if there's any sort of questions regarding Martin's session that perhaps you don't want to answer, ask here, but want to kind of get in touch with him later on, and then please do feel free to drop him an email. So, as I said, thank you for joining us, and without further ado, I will hand over to Martin.
Hey, thanks. I think you need to make me presenter first before we can kick off.
Yeah,
there we go.
Now, yeah.
So, show my screen. You should be able to see the screen now, and I'm starting the slideshow. There we go. Yeah, thanks, Charlotte, for the introductions, and thanks everyone for joining. I really do appreciate that you're sacrificing what probably is the lunchtime for most of you. So thanks very much for joining. Maybe before I get started, I give you a tiny bit of background on this particular talk I have. And it started a couple of years ago at a UKOUG conference when I was approached by Neil Chandler and Martin Woodlake, and I've been raving on about Swingbench and how much I have benefited from it during my career, and that goes back a long, long time now. I think all the way back to 2006 when I first used it, or around that time frame. And they said, well, why don't you put something together, and so that other people might also use this in order to research the Oracle database, because as a matter of fact, we all know the release cycles have now changed, and instead of 12.1 or 11.2 that have been out for what seems like eternities, And now we've got annual release cycles, and there are new features coming in. There are not as many features as there used to be coming in into the major releases, but there are enough to keep us on our toes. And especially if you're someone who advises management or decision makers, and which release should we go to, you may want to maybe spend some time finding out what new features have actually been introduced, and also how they work, because documentation is one thing, but I don't trust the documentation until I actually found a use case where I proved that a certain feature has worked. So that's actually the motivation for me of using Swingbench, and hopefully you find this useful and maybe even start your own experiments using Swingbench. So who am I? My name is Martin Bach. I work for the Accenture Enkitec group, and I've been doing so for quite some time. My slides and my opinions and what I'm going to tell you here, they are strictly my own opinions. That's something they asked me to put in. As Charlotte said, I have contributed to some dead tree literature, which you can see on the right-hand side here. And I'm on Twitter, and I like blogging, although I wish I could blog more. I just don't find the time as much as I used to. So yeah, if you've got any questions about this webinar, you don't want to put into the question box, or something that pops into your mind tomorrow and you didn't ask, then by all means get in touch. And it's in addition to email, you might find using Twitter quite convenient to get in touch with me. Okay, so having said that, what can you expect in this session? A lot of things about Swingbench, obviously. So I'm going to give a very, very quick introduction to Swingbench, because most people I spoke to, they only use a subset of the features, and there are some cool things that I'd like to share about the tool, followed by some useful internals. And then I've got a first case of where you can use Swingbench to actually exercise your rack tuning skills, something that I've been using. And I've also used it recently to do some I/O research. And before I actually start, it seems to be the fashion these days, I put a safe harbor statement in here. Not necessarily because, what I say is really just my opinion, but also more importantly, I'm going to use Enterprise Edition in this talk, and lots of options that are potentially cost options depending on how you license your system. But in what you're going to see here a lot is Enterprise Edition plus the diagnostics, and sometimes even the tuning pack. So these cost extra money for most people. So always make sure that you're appropriately licensed before you use any of the things that you find in this presentation. So this is my safe harbor statement. Right. So now talking about content, finally. Like I said, in my career, I have been using Dominic Giles' Swingbench quite a lot, both in research and publications, and it has really, really been of great use to me. Let's get into this. So some of you, or probably quite a few of you, may have seen this snippet from Dominic Giles' website. So if Dominic Giles is an outstanding person, and I know he works with the UKOUG a lot. He's been keynoting many of the events. Whenever you've got a chance to see Dominic Giles during a user group meetup,